If fear is the only thing stopping us from achieving our dreams, and we only fear what we don't understand, then the antidote to fear is knowledge. All we have to do is find out who has the knowledge that we need to conquer our fears and achieve our entrepreneurial dreams. My name is Callum Walker, and welcome to the podcast that will help you figure it out and conquer this lonely entrepreneurial journey. Hello everyone, and welcome to the podcast. So, if you're having a bad day, or you're prone to bad days, I got something that's really going to help you. Now, it starts off with a little bit of a lesson about my golf, okay? Now, if you're a coach, this will really help your clients as well. Because if you've got clients who keep falling off track, or even yourself, you kind of feel like you struggle with momentum, and specifically you struggle with positive momentum, then this will help you immensely. So, what's this got to do with my golf? Well, for a while ago, I remember I was really trying hard with my golf. I was really trying hard to get good at golf. And my best friend, he's a professional golfer. And I asked him, I was like, Lee, why do I suck so much at golf? And it was really getting quite frustrating because I was trying my best. I was really trying so hard. I was putting in the effort, putting in the time. But for some reason, the results just weren't manifesting themselves. And I guess you kind of get to a point where I'm sure you'll know this, that you're pushing and pushing and nothing's really happening. And you're just kind of just getting more and more frustrated. You may be starting to question, I suck, all of these sorts of things, yeah? And I asked him, why do I suck so much? And he said, you don't suck. But the problem is that when you go and stick the ball in the woods, you then stay in the woods. So the problem isn't that you hit a bad shot. It's that you hit a bad shot, and then instead of just coming back onto the fairway, coming back to center, accepting that, okay, I've hit a bad shot, but, it's okay, I'll just move on and crack on to the next one. You keep focusing on the bad shot. And when you focus on the bad shot, you're then telling yourself that you suck at golf and you keep hitting bad shots. And then when you do that, you then, again, your mind, your wish is my command. As you say, I do. as you say you are, you are. You then go and hit another bad shot. And then you hit a bad shot and a bad shot. And you compound your errors. The problem is that you keep compounding your errors. And here's the thing around positivity. And here's the thing around negativity. It's not a problem if you have negative thoughts. It's not a problem if you're in a bad headspace. It's not a problem if you're in a negative mood. It's only a problem if you allow those negative thoughts to linger. Because those negative thoughts that linger then manifest themselves into negative feelings. And then negative feelings cause you to take negative actions. So it's not a problem if bad things happen. It's if you allow bad things to happen and keep dwelling on them and allow them to just continue in your mind. And this is a really amazing exercise that has helped me immensely and when I say rapidly, I mean within 5 minutes, get myself out of a negative headspace and into a positive headspace. It's also, and I am mainly talking to the men here. Okay, I am. And this isn't me being sexist, but when you find yourself in the doghouse, and when you find yourself about to absolutely rip your missus' head off by telling her she's this, and this, and she frustrates the fuck out of you, take a breath and do this beforehand. So this genuinely will flick you out of a negative headspace and into a positive headspace within 5 minutes. It is unbelievable. And I do it every day because I get into a negative headspace every day. But I have very positive results in my life. Why? Because I now have a tool that allows that negative thought to just come and go. I don't allow it to linger anymore. I don't allow it to linger long enough to then become a negative feeling. And then, as I kind of mentioned, it then lingers as a feeling and becomes a negative action. So effectively, it's really simple. And the easiest way for me to articulate it is to kind of articulate what was happening when me and Alice were having an argument. Okay. So, this was a while back. It was probably about 6 months ago. It was beautiful and sunny. So we went to this like lake nearby. It was a beautiful lake, but it was like, one of those like crisp, cold days, but it's blue sky and sunny. It was one of those. So we're having a walk and we're having a really nice time. But I don't know what it was. She just kind of like, anyway, I'm not going to go into what she was doing. But basically what happened was that I said something she didn't like. I probably breathed or whatever. Anyway, I said something she didn't like. And then she snapped back at me and said something I didn't like. And that very easily could have continued into like a full-on fire-breathing dragon match. You're this, you're that. Ah! Full day's ruined. We hate each other. And we're in a bad space. Very, very bad place, yeah? It could continue and compound. And I learned this 2 ways. One from, I've mentioned it on the members only podcast, actually. So all of the guys who are in my Next Level Coach and my Elite Coach program, we have a separate private podcast. So if you like all of this stuff, the Next Level Coach members only podcast is like, next level. So I said, I ran through this book on the members only podcast, but basically it's called The Gap in the Game by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. So I learned this partly from him, but I also learned this from Abraham Lincoln. So Abraham Lincoln was a US president, and during the time of the US Civil War, I think it was like in the 1800s. Basically what happened was that the war was literally about to come to an end. So there was this general who was working under Lincoln, and the war was about to come to an end. And what happened was that Lincoln had basically told this general, like, just go here and do this, and the war will be over. And the general ignored him and decided to do the complete opposite. And what happened was that then caused the war to continue for 2 years. So imagine a war where hundreds of thousands of people are dying and you literally have the opportunity to end it. And then you're the guy who goes and does the thing that prolongs it for another 2 years. It's pretty crap. Now imagine if you're a leader and you're literally about to end this thing, and now you've got to carry on for another 2 years because of one guy. You'd be pretty pissed off, wouldn't you? So what Lincoln did was he wrote this guy a letter. He wrote this general a letter, and he absolutely scolded him. Like, he wrote this letter, and he basically said, like, do you understand what you've done? Hundreds of thousands of people are going to die because of you and your actions. You've betrayed your country. You've betrayed me. I'm never, ever going to allow you to have a career ever again. And you are an absolute disgrace. He fully obliterated this guy and said some pretty vile and aggressive things, to the point of, if you're that guy and you're reading that, you're like, oh my God, I feel shit about myself. And then what happened was, so Lincoln wrote the letter and he burnt it. He burned the letter. And that's a very, very powerful moment, because had Lincoln sent that letter, he would have felt better about himself. But think about all of the negative consequences, the repercussions that would have had. But Lincoln burnt the letter and never sent it. So me and Alice were having this argument, and very early I caught it. I was like, just leave me alone. I'm going over there. So I walked off and I said, I just need 5 minutes. Walked off, went and sat on a bench, whipped out my phone, and I wrote Alice a letter. Everything that I was going to say to her and I wanted to say to her, all of the frustration, the aggression, the anger, the annoyance, instead of saying it to her, where I would get absolutely scolded back and it just wouldn't serve either of us, I wrote it out on my phone. So I have one document where I write all of these things down, and I absolutely crucified her. She wears a stupid fucking hat, the stupid fucking coat, the stupid fucking shoes, and she does this and she says that, blah, 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 blah. And that went on for about 2 minutes. And I wrote out everything that was pissing me off about her, and everything that she'd done to hurt me, to upset me, to piss me off. I wrote it all out. And do you know what happened? After I wrote it all out, I felt so much better, I got it out. So again, there's a great book called The Chimp Paradox. Like, I allowed my chimp to be exercised. Like, the chimp was going, who are you? Blah, blah. But instead of directing it to her, which takes me on a one-way trip to the doghouse, and I know I've got a season ticket and I'm, founder and president of the doghouse. I didn't really want to spend any time there that night. Instead of going in the doghouse, I felt better. I wrote it all out. And then after writing it all out, I then went, what's the actual reality here? Why do you think she feels? Let's look at it from her situation. What's the reality? Because when we're emotional, our thoughts tend to distort our view. Like, they really, really do. We don't really see the full-on accurate picture of what's actually happening. And I went, right, okay, what I'm going to do is, what's the reality? What's actually happened here? And I wrote it out and I started to see, well, look at it from her situation. Look at it from her eyes. And I looked at it from her eyes and it changed my perspective. And I then wrote, what is one constructive action that I can actually take here that is going to be positive and not destructive? And I basically came to the conclusion of, do you know what? I've got all of this stuff out, but I understand why she's acting that way. And do you know what? Considering everything that she's been through recently, I get why she's there and just isn't this. Do you really care that much about it? No. Are you going to drop it? Yeah. What's the best action that you can take? Go over there and apologize. So about 15 minutes later, I walk over. And just before I had the opportunity to apologize, she apologized to me. I know. She apologized to me. So, what happened was that I in that moment, I allowed the emotion to come out. I dealt with the emotion. But then once the emotion cooled off, I was able to see things through a logical lens. So if I kind of look at today, I had something that happened to me that really pissed me off. And it very easily could have compounded into ruining my whole day. But I whipped my phone out. Now, previously, that would have compounded into a whole day and I would have made it a problem. And what I did was, well, first of all, I actually went to the gym. I went to the gym to just change my headspace. But then, after that, I got my phone out and I found that it's actually more powerful doing it through voice. So I've actually found talking to ChatGPT being incredibly helpful because I'm almost kind of articulating it as opposed to just writing it. And it's interesting, like I basically I had this thing that really pissed me off and, I really articulated all the reasons why it pissed me off. Like, he's done this, and this. He's completely out of order. It means this, and this. And as I was articulating it, the emotion was gradually leaving me. And I then, after that, went, right, okay, what's the actual reality? I basically had this guy who'd broke a contract. And eventually I was like, well, you don't actually need this guy. Like, you don't. He's caused you more hassle than he's actually worth. Okay, yeah, financially you're missing out a little bit, but you're not really missing out because he's missed a couple of payments. And, he's been a nightmare. And eventually I kind of got to the point where it's just like, well, it's his loss. Like, it's his loss, it's not yours. And then I asked myself the question, well, what is a constructive action that I can actually take here? And I was like, well, what do you love doing? Go and record a podcast. So I went and recorded a podcast. So I think the point that I'm coming at is almost kind of looking at it and doing this little exercise. It helps immensely. Get your phone up. And whenever something negative happens to you, let's say a client's just left you, write it out. Write out everything that your mind is telling you. I'm a failure. Everyone else is. Everyone else is so much better than me. Once again, I can't make this work and blah, blah, blah. And once you've written all of that out and you've run out of stuff to say, you ran out of bad stuff to say about yourself, then ask yourself the reality. Like, is that actually true? Okay. Is it the end of my business? Am I actually a failure? Does it actually mean that? Most of the time, the answer is no. And then, well, what am I going to do about it? What could I potentially do? So, when I've had a client leave me, and it happens, find me a coach, find me a business owner who doesn't have someone leave, it happens, it's part of the process. I write it all out, like, I'm a failure, this and this. And then look at the reality. First reality is, it's part of being a coach. It happens, doesn't it? It's always happened. It always will. One comes in, one comes out. Some will, some won't. On to the next one. I then write out, I have an email list of over 1,000 personal trainers. There's plenty of fish in the sea there. I also have this talk coming up. I also have this call next week. I've got that opportunity. I've got this, and this. And what's a constructive action that I'm actually going to take off the back of this? Well, I'm going to put myself in a positive headspace and go to the gym and enjoy my day. So if I kind of look at this thing, it's figuring out a way to actually exercising your emotions in a way that isn't negative. And then it's about coming back to center, figuring out your way to actually coming back to center and going like, okay, how can I just come back to neutral? Instead of trying to switch from negative to positive, how can I go from negative to neutral? And we do that through finding a clear way of being able to exercise that emotion in a way that isn't destructive. Once you do that, you can get yourself back to neutral, back to stillness. And then it's going like, right, okay, what action can I take that will put me into a constructive and a positive state? Effectively, that is also known as transmutation. That is also known as alchemy, that you're transmuting negativity into positivity. You're transmuting lead into gold. But lead doesn't immediately go from lead to gold. It goes from lead to copper to iron and then to gold. So it's almost about recognizing the negativity, exercising the negativity in a way that isn't going to be destructive. I mentioned at the start, if you've got clients who struggle to stay on track with things, again, it's almost like most of the time it's because they're catastrophizing. They've had a bad day. They go, I've had a bad day, I'm going to go and hit the booze. Whereas if they have a way of writing out, I'm having a bad day, but this doesn't have to, it doesn't have to go and accelerate into making it even worse. If they have a way of articulating that, it can be incredibly helpful. So, and then being able to actually go, right, okay, well, what could I do to put myself in a positive state? Well, I could go and do a training session. And not only will that make them feel better anyway, but then also they may have had a bad day, but they still got a training session in, or they still had a good meal. And it's just an excellent way of neutralizing the negativity. And I think that as an entrepreneur, that is the real key. It's about neutralizing the negativity. It's not about negativity not happening, because I think that when bad things happen to you, so to speak, if you didn't care that a client left you, you need to get out of the game. Because, like, if you just go, oh, yeah, it's fine. Oh, it's fine. Oh, it's fine. Oh, it's fine. But that's delusion. Like, then you're not going to work hard to ensure that I can fill the holes. You're not going to work hard to then go and bring someone back in. So it's not that the negativity's there, that it's a problem. It's whether it lingers, whether it takes over us. And we just need to find out a way of neutralizing the negativity, coming to a place of stillness, coming to a place of neutral. And then once we've come to a place of neutral, then what actions can we take to put ourselves into a positive vibration? There we go. Never forget, if every one of your clients gave you one new client, you have doubled your business.
Have you got a client who isn't losing weight right now and you have absolutely no idea why? And maybe you're worrying that if nothing changes, they could drop off at any moment? Well, I've got a free nutrition masterclass for you where I reveal the secret nutrition strategy that guarantees that stuck client loses 2 to 4 pounds in the next 7 days without lowering their calories, upping their cardio, or even tracking macros. Click the link in the description to get access to the free Elite Nutrition Secrets Masterclass and get your client moving in the right direction, stopping them dropping off today.